Well, the
Yes.
Google Plus happens automatically, so I don't have to do that one. All right. We're live. How long have we been live?
A few seconds
Just
now.
10 seconds.
If I didn't say anything too awful during that 10 seconds.
The only thing that's been on there since we started is me going, the Facebook is, and the YouTube is. So nothing actually worth anything.
None of those secrets that we were talking about a second ago.
I just put it on the tweeter.
What about the woofer? Did you put it on the woofer?
I always do.
Actually, let's do that. Any developer friends out there, we're going to develop a dog-themed Twitter clone, and they can, instead of tweets, they're barks. We'll call it woofer. WOOFRRRR.
Woofer.
Did you see that Bob barked me on the woofer? Yeah, man.
Sounds dirty. Pens.
Do you guys want to start on time?
I don't know. Are we getting people's hopes up for future shows if we do that? Do we want to just procrastinate a minute or two just to make it clear that we don't give a shit about what time we're
Here,
supposed
let
to
me
start?
delete some names from some of these topics.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I don't know what to do. There's no pink topics. Wow, this is like we don't have a lot of shows or a lot of.
A lot of
Everything is
shows.
going
Well, not a lot of
smoothly.
topics.
There's no pink to speak of. Shit.
The
I mean,
Office
we don't
US
so much.
TV show did that, Bob. Was it called Woofer?
I thought that's what you guys were talking about.
Oh my god.
Well, you invented the exact same thing in parallel.
I invented
so
nothing. I watched something and probably subsequently forgot.
it's convergent invention is what it is.
I pulled a. You know, I've had people in my life that do that all the time. They watch something and then they just forget and then they act like they invented something.
I hear other people's brilliant ideas and then pass them off as my own. Does that count as the same thing?
Man, I thought that was really funny. I guess they did too. Thanks, Mullins. It's been done. I thought I was clever. I will never try to be clever again.
Man, I feel like we should do the entire show just like this.
Like what? I missed the visual.
That
Just
wasn't
like I
that's
am
the
right
point.
now. Just exactly like this. Like you could see like 1/4 of my face.
I think it'd be
Do the
even
entire
funnier
show.
if
It's
you could
gonna
just
be
get
so frustrating.
I think it'd be even funnier if you just get your son to sit there.
And have him like move his mouth every time you talk.
Man,
I'm just
that
imagining
part
like
might
one of
be
us
difficult.
asks you to scoot over and you.
Hey, it's the Scuttlefield. Hi, the Scuttlefield.
He said Bob pulled an apple. That's
I
funny.
pulled an apple.
Yeah, because you took somebody
anybody-
else's idea and claimed it as your own.
Is anybody else having problems with the chat on the site? I can't. It keeps timing out when I try to join.
I have approximately 0 problems
It's
with it
working
right
okay
now.
for me.
Well then.
All right, let me think of
Does
something.
anybody else get pissed when someone calls a woofer a wolfer? People do that?
A wolfer? No.
I would. You know what? Now that I've heard that, I'm going to start to do that because I like that more.
No, I hear the exact opposite all the time. My
I'm
kid was in Cub Scouts and they had the wolves, and every single adult leader called them the woofs.
The wolves are
The
coming.
wolves. Or
The
the
American
woofs.
werewolf in Paris.
I'm like, they're not wolves. They're wolves.
Wolves.
I just want to go to like. I just want to go
It's
to
a
like, a
woo.
car show when people are like showing off their tricked out rides.
Yeah.
Be like, dude, wicked subwoofers.
Wicked subwoofers.
Subwoofers.
I enjoy those subwoofers.
And then you can go get a job doing rolfing.
Those subwoofers be banging, yo.
They're like small wolves that ride on the back of the bigger wolf.
I think subwoofers are like puppies.
Hey, the Red Sox are beating the Indians 1.
The Red Six.
The Red Six. The Red.
Oh, baby.
Okay, it's officially 2 minutes past start time. I think it's safe to start.
Oh,
Okay,
yes, we're late now.
We can say start now.
start.
All right.
Woo! There we go. We almost were punctual there. Let me hit the record button.
Thank goodness we caught that before.
Wait, let me get some air out.
The intro order is not correct on the spreadsheet, but I'm sure we can figure it out based on past shows.
Wait.
Cameron Ryan.
It goes Cameron. It goes Cameron Liam Ryan.
Are
Exactly.
you doing seniority?
Yes, it's always seniority.
Podcast
Except
seniority?
you. You're the only one who gets no seniority ranking on this.
Well, I don't deserve any.
I'm gonna do it wrong on
Yeah,
purpose.
because you haven't been with us for every show, and don't spend hours before and after the show working on it.
But I don't deserve any seniority, like, knowledge-wise.
Well, do I deserve top seniority knowledge-wise?
No.
Let's do this thing.
Okay. Wait. I messed it up already.
Welcome to the Android Police Podcast, your weekly audio source for all things Android. It's Thursday, June 12th, 2014. I'm your host, Matthew Smith.
I'm Cameron Summerson.
I'm Liam Spradlin.
I'm Ryan Whitmon.
And I'm the guy pressing buttons. My name is Bob Severns. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Well, we've got a lot to... Wait, actually, we don't. We don't have very many topics, so let's waste some time up front. Guys, anything? Anything?
Well, if I were a World Cup announcer, I would say, welcome to the show!
If I were a World Cup announcer, I wouldn't know what to say because I don't watch soccer.
I don't either.
If I was a World Cup announcer, I would speak things in other languages like that you can't understand.
I actually only
or
said
English
that,
because it's soccer terminology.
I actually only said that because we forbade talking about soccer in the World Cup, so I decided to throw it in there.
Ah, forbade.
If I were
It's
a soccer
forbidden and
announcement-
forbidden, so we should move on.
I am the forbaddest of them all.
Yes, you are the.
Mirror, mirror on
You
the
are a
wall.
forbadass.
I am a forbadass. Thank you.
All right, rumor roundup. All right, so this week in the rumor roundup, LG is continuing to prove that they are really, really awful at keeping secrets. This time around, it's the LG G Watch. We've got specs, we've got release information, we got pricing, we got all kinds of stuff. So Ryan, what do we know?
So according to a document of some sort, it might be from a manual or possibly some sort of internal document, the G Watch will have a 280 by 280 resolution screen, a 400 milliamp hour battery, and supposedly that will be good for about 36 hours of standby, or whatever they're calling it, because they did say before that the screen was going to be on all the time. So whenever you're not actively using it, that state, whatever they want to call that, it will supposedly run for 36 hours. So people were a little bit iffy about that because I don't know, a day and a half for a smartwatch seems maybe a little bit short. It'll have a Qualcomm processor inside, not really a surprise. But we also heard that it's going to be maybe possibly out in the UK on July 7th, and it will cost £170, which is the equivalent of roughly $285. We don't know how that will transfer to the actual amount paid here in the US. It might just be a straight number conversion. It might be $170 for all we know. But if it's a more accurate conversion, then it might cost $250, which is maybe a little bit more than people were expecting for what will probably be the cheaper of the launch Android Wear devices.
Let's split the difference and say $229.
I don't know.
Quite
It seems to
possible.
me like there tends to be like a complete and total disregard for conversion rates when they talk about pounds versus.
Yeah, I mean
US
it
prices.
varies. Sometimes it's like something will cost £100 and they'll just sell it for $100, even though it's less value. I mean, but sometimes it's it's closer to what it would actually be valued at. I mean, we'll just have to wait and see which way it goes. Usually when Google has a hand in stuff, it's a more accurate value. I think most of the Play Store stuff is pretty close to what it costs, unless it's some sort of import tariff thing.
Right.
Would anyone be opposed if I started calling this the Gwatch?
I was just thinking that. I was totally thinking I'm gonna call it the Gwatch.
The Gwatch.
The LG Gwatch. The Lug Gwatch. Le Gwatch.
And they could market it to women and tell them you're gonna be sassy. Be sassy with the sassy Gwatch.
Technically, LG does stand for Lucky Gold Star, so you can call it the Lucky Gold Star Gwatch.
Lucky Gold Star Gwatch. I thought it was Life is Good.
Though that's what they want to say now, but that is not the case.
All right, so some images leaked out this week of the upcoming Samsung Galaxy Tab S line of tablets, the line of tablets that we will not keep track of accurately in our heads ever. But we've got some screenshots, and we might have found out some more things about that, right, Kim?
Well, leak no more. It was actually just announced, like, just a couple of minutes ago.
What?
So
No
the
more,
Galaxy
my
Tab
baby.
S is official. So I'm kind of skimming over the what it's all about right now. It is Samsung's thinnest and lightest tablet. It actually comes in two sizes, 8.4 inch and a 10.5. They both have a Super AMOLED display, 2560 by 1600. So just probably absolutely beautiful displays.
Do the Note Pros have AMOLED?
Let's see. No, they don't.
So
They have
these
that
are
same
the
resolution.
first tablet Samsung's done with AMOLED, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Right.
So it's the first tablet I've seen in a really long time with a AMOLED display. So, let's see. The 8.4 inch model is 294 grams, and the 10.5 inch model is 465 grams. They both are only 6.6 millimeters thick. So that is insanely thin. God, that is crazy thin. Just thinking about it. So that is pretty badass. Just trying to look through here and see if there's anything else. They're going to launch with KitKat, 8 megapixel rear camera that nobody cares about. The 8.4 inch model has a 4900 milliamp hour battery. The larger one has some larger battery. Yes. Oh, 7900. The 10.5 inch one has 7900. They both have 3 gigabytes of RAM and 16 or 32 gigabyte storage options. Blah blah blah. So the rest is, I guess, pretty standard. The whole point is, I think the whole thing is they're super thin and light, and they have Super AMOLED displays. So
they're
pretty interesting. Yeah, they're super light, super AMOLED.
Any word on price given yet, or? I know a lot of times they don't include those in announcements, but hey, figured I'd ask.
I know, that's the unfortunate part. Let's see here. Nope.
Fingerprint scanner, dimpled back.
Wait, I think that it's going to be $399 for the 8.4 and $499 for the 10.5. Don't quote me for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. That's what I'm seeing.
You heard it here, guys. Ryan said for sure that's going to be the price.
Yeah.
And if it's not,
Dude,
it does have a fingerprint scanner.
Hey, he didn't say $399 or $499 what, so there could be conversion rates involved.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
We'll just call them Ryan units. It's
If they're not-
$399 Ryan units.
It could
If
be
they're not 399
shiny
pesos,
pebbles.
I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pesos.
so it does have the fingerprint scanner.
It's been a long time since Samsung made an AMOLED tablet. That's actually kind of neat.
Man, this 8.4 inch one looks pretty damn good.
I know. I would maybe consider buying it, even if TouchWiz is not as horrible as it used to be. I can live with it.
To me, TouchWiz is not awful. I don't like it on a phone because it makes everything seem so cluttered. I don't mind it as much on a tablet because there's more space for that clutter to seem not so cluttery.
It's diluted.
Yeah.
This may seem stupid.
yeah.
This may seem stupid, but the biggest reason why I would never consider this tablet is just because Samsung also makes crappy tablets. And I mean, it doesn't matter. They can make it could be the best tablet in the world. It could be design-wise, kick iPads butt up and down the street. But because of the fact that they allow the other products through, it's like I just don't trust them.
But even their crappy tablets are better than most crappy tablets.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I'm looking on the back of these tablets. On the back of these tablets, there are these weird, like, circular things. I don't know what they're for. I'm trying to figure it out.
It's a big Band-Aid. Duh.
You know, one thing though that is pretty dumb is that Samsung is still doing the physical button on tablets, which is just completely unnecessary. They need to stop that. I mean, I can almost kind of understand it on a phone, but not a tablet.
According to these pictures, the buttons on the back are called simple clickers.
Okay.
What the hell are they for? What? That's what it says. They are simple.
Are they shortcut?
Duh.
They're
configurable
I guess
shortcut?
so. Like maybe I don't.
I think
I
it's
don't
like
understand.
they build a dimple into their tablet.
There's simple clickers, you say?
That's what it says.
Well,
I
they're
think
for
they should
clicking
call them
simply.
simple clickers. I agree. They probably are for.
Simply clicking.
My guess is that they're assignable and they're basically dimple ripoffs, like the
that makes sense.
what was it, the Indiegogo Kickstarter dimple program, whatever it was.
I'll tell you what. Just if they only exist, like you said, as assignable buttons, and you got like back and forward navigation and stuff, it's still useful when you're looking at a tablet in landscape orientation, right?
I want no buttons. Not even the power button. That's my ultimate goal.
Oh yeah, you were right.
Oh,
$3.99 and
I'm a
$4.99.
fiddler.
They're available
I like to
for
fiddle
pre-order
with things.
tonight. Like 12:01 Eastern time tonight. And you can
So,
pre-order.
if you're watching us live in about 3 hours and 45.5 minutes.
Well-
46.5 minutes.
So yeah,
Let's
there
go
we
ahead
go.
and
Carry on.
Oh, code Google.
Yes.
go to Google.
Is that what you were going for, Matt?
That's what I was going for. Thanks for stealing my thunder, you jerk.
You're welcome. Thanks for having thunder to steal. I feel like Percy Jackson. Oh, that was lightning.
Yes. All right, so Google has been working apparently on a little program called Nearby that has got people up in arms because, well, privacy. I mean,
There is that.
right? Privacy. But Liam, you're going to tell us why we shouldn't be afraid, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. So, counter to the interpretation of some outlets that paid us a visit over the weekend, Nearby is not scary. It's an opt-in feature that basically Google says it will let you share, interact more with people, places, and things around you. So essentially, it's going to use a variety of sensors like Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and even your microphone to figure out when to let other devices figure out when you're nearby and then interact accordingly, like according to the context or what they're set up to do. So the most obvious application of this is the contact-based reminders that we talked about before. So if you say, remind me to pay Ryan back when I'm with him next week or something, then Google would be like, okay, that's a reminder. And then whenever I go to see Ryan, then it would be like, hey, pay him back.
Yeah, you better
and that-
remember.
And that would happen automatically just because our two devices are near. But it can do other cool stuff too, like home automation. Like so in the Android Wear video, there's a girl on a bike and she says, "Okay, Google, open garage," and the garage door opens. So Scuttlefield, yes, that's what I mean. So home automation. Let's see. Oh, and then we saw something about easy login for Chromebooks, which allows you to unlock your Chromebook just when your device is nearby. So that would probably be this as well. And it's worth remembering that Google bought Bump, which uses not just the bump, but location information and Wi-Fi to determine when two devices are near each other, and Slick Login, which uses the mic, which essentially the service, like one device projects a noise that you can't hear, but the other device can hear it, and then that's how it authenticates. So those will probably be wrapped up into this, and that's where that mic is coming from. a lot of people are nervous because they are like, oh no, Google's accessing my mic and my Bluetooth and everything. But the thing is, the data isn't. It's not like the data is like floating around for someone to magically grab and be like, oh, this person's at Kohl's. I'm gonna go break into their house. It goes. The two devices send it up to Google servers. Google services matches it, and then it comes back down. And the only thing that comes down is the acknowledgement of matching, basically. So it's not as scary as people think, and it's actually going to be pretty cool.
Bob, do you feel better about it now?
I feel nothing.
Bob's drank too much.
Hey, that's better than feeling negatively. I at least brought you up to 0.
Thanks, Liam.
Thanks.
I've been at 0 for quite a while now.
Bob is dead inside.
Yeah. All right, so Google also has a project they're working on that we've uncovered called Quantum Paper that appears to be a redesign, kind of a language, a UI guidelines, but it's a little bit different than what we've seen in the past, a la Halo or Hollow. I can't talk.
Holla.
What the hell is wrong with me?
Holla back, girl.
But it looks like it might even go a little bit further. So Liam, what are we seeing here from Quantum Paper?
Yeah, so the cool thing, Quantum Paper is split into 3 parts, web, Android, and iOS. So the web part is called Polymer, and that's a project that they've been working on for a while now. They actually showed off at I/O last year. That's basically a framework for web developers to quickly make responsive websites using a predetermined set of building blocks that they can then customize through code and kind of do whatever they want. But the other 2 arms are Quantum, which is for Android, and Google Kit, which is for iOS. And the point behind this is basically making experiences consistent across devices. So there will be guidelines and building blocks for motion design, interaction, graphics, illustration, that kind of thing. All the stuff that developers need to make a complete experience. And we don't have that many details on Google Kit yet, but presumably it's going to be open to third-party developers to use, which is really interesting. But then, I mean, this should make it easier for developers to basically follow guidelines. The cool thing is that they're guidelines, but you're not stuck. It's a framework that you can kind of work with and still do whatever you want, but they give you the pieces that you need. And I go into this more in the post, but Polymer already shows us a lot of the stuff that they're working on with Quantum. And we've seen Google Plus is the first app that's been updated with the new Quantum approach. But the camera app has some iconography from it, and we've seen a lot of stuff that matches with the recent leaks for Gmail and Calendar and that kind of thing. So it's definitely coming. The timeline, the actual public final release for people to start using it, like third-party developers and everything, will be when Android's L release comes out. We're not sure if they're going to show it to us sooner or not, but that's when it'll actually be available.
Cool. All right, so we had some acquisitions this week from Google, starting off with a company called Skybox. I'm not really sure what they do, Liam. What do they do?
Yes.
P1000.
That's Skynet.
Darn it.
And actually with Cyberdyne Systems.
Skybox is a satellite imaging company that basically develops and builds their own satellite imaging technology for low orbit satellites that basically collect imagery, and then they can use that data for helpful purposes. Google bought them specifically to improve internet access, which was rumored by the Wall Street Journal before this story came out, and also for disaster relief, which is both of those things are things that Google's been kind of trying to work on for a while now. So I think that the Skybox acquisition seems like a safer bet than, say, Project Loon or something, but they're going to be working to achieve the same goal ultimately.
Yeah, the Project Loon thing just always seemed like such a far-fetched.
It was loony.
idea.
It was a loony idea.
Yeah, I mean it's Google X, so they do things that you say that's silly, that can't happen basically. So I don't know what their plans are for continuing that project, but that seems like a much more viable option.
Yeah, my guess is they probably used that whole project to determine that this is a good idea to do something like this, and now they're coming up with a real, actually achievable way of doing it. Be my guess. It was in the pipe dream phase, and now that it's ready to move on to the real world phase, this is the medium that they're going to use.
That makes sense. Plus, I think, I mean, they already do some satellite imaging, but this will give them like their own piece of the company that actually knows how to make these things whenever they want and, launch them.
Right. So also, Google, they actually haven't made an acquisition here yet, but apparently some rumors are floating around that they might be negotiating for an acquisition of Songza, which of course is a streaming music app and a pretty popular one at that, right, Liam?
Yeah, I mean, Songza's among the smaller popular music streaming apps, but the thing that they're really good at is curating music. So they have artists that create playlists, but then they also have automatically generated sets for things like doing homework or like at the gym or getting energized or something like that, like mood-specific things. So this is still a rumor, obviously, but I think it would make sense for Google to acquire them. They're going in kind of with a low bid, but I think it would make sense because the play music curation is one of its weak points, and it always has been. So just buying something that would boost that up pretty quickly would be a good call.
Sounds good. All right, so something that rolled out recently with the Play Store updates have been rolling out is a simplified permissions interface that allows you to not have to read. I guess that's the bonus, is you don't have to read the permissions, which is always a concern. And Liam, we might have some examples of why that might even be more concerning than it is helpful, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you pay a lot of attention to the permissions that apps ask for, then this is going to be a pain for you because essentially what they've done is simplified the permissions dialog that pops up when you install an app. So instead of listing out all the permissions and their descriptions of like what they can do, like this can access your camera or this can use your phone or something, they have lumped them into about a dozen categories that each have their own little icon, and you can expand or collapse them, but ultimately, I mean, people don't pay that much attention when they're installing apps. So the thing that people are worried about is that if a developer comes out with an app that uses certain permissions, then they can sneak other permissions that fall under that same category into the app during an update without anybody noticing, basically. So I'm not sure how, I mean, because permissions are kind of a tricky issue, right? Like, it's on the one hand, I can understand why they did it, because looking at icons and collapsible lists is less scary than seeing a line of text that's like, this can access your information. But on the other hand, users need to know what the app is doing. So presenting that in a way that's not scary while also protecting users is a tough challenge.
Right on. All right. Yeah. The thing is, I think with permissions that people miss out on is really what you shouldn't be doing is thinking about how annoying they are and how much you hate them and how you don't want to read them every time. And you should actually be paying attention to what they do, because honestly, if it comes to a point where you've downloaded and installed an app that does things that you don't want it to do, it warned you up front and you probably ignored it. So while I admit I'm the first to just click right on through, I think hiding them probably isn't the best way to go either.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, it depends on what the app is. So permissions don't have to be scary all the time. It's just like if you, I don't know, if you download some innocuous like wallpaper app and it's asking to like make calls, then that's suspicious. Like the call permission itself is not scary, but if it's coming from an app that doesn't need to make calls, then that's when it's weird.
Yeah, Google needs to do a better job, though, of explaining what the permissions are for, because a lot of them do just sound scary. Like,
right.
Like device ID, you wonder, like, why does an app need this? But some apps just use it to keep track of your device, if you're, like, syncing content between, a phone and a tablet or something. But, I mean, just saying that, like, an app needs X, Y, and Z doesn't really tell you why. And, I mean, it happens all the time that an app will, like, add the camera permission, and people will think that it's just going to start like taking pictures of them all the time, but it's like for a barcode scanner or something. I mean, it would be nice if, you know, developers didn't have to specifically update their descriptions to explain why they need every single permission.
Right. All right, so we've got some news last week about an upcoming Tango tablet that might be a Project Tango tablet, that is, that might be available very, very soon. Actually, it will be available very soon for developers at a hefty price tag. But this week we got a little sneak peek of a video demo from a company called Mantis Vision showing off what exactly they plan on using that Tango technology for. You know, I think we spent a fair amount of time talking last week about what it could be used for, and they came up with some stuff that we certainly didn't come up with. So Cam, what was going on with the video?
Well, the stuff. Sorry, Mantis Vision is the company that provides basically the core 3D engine that runs in the Tango tablet. So this is more than just some stuff they think can be done with it. I mean, they're the ones who created this whole thing. Well, not Tango itself, but the core, obviously, the core technology that Tango uses. So the video is more or less just, I think, some really over-the-top hypothetical situations that are like, oh, look at all this cool shit you can do with, you know, with our technology, which obviously right out of the gate, it's not going to be that. It's like some proof of concept crap that, I don't know, I watched it and I'm like, okay, this is cool, but it's not going to be nearly this powerful at launch or for any time in the foreseeable future, in my opinion. But I guess it's something more or less something to strive for. It's still pretty cool though to watch and just see the ideas they have kicking around in their head with, hey, we made this technology and this is what we hope people can do with it eventually. So I don't know, go check it out. It's pretty rad. And I mean, I hope that one day it's as cool as it seems to be in the video, but it's very, very apparent that it's super conceptual in the video, and it's not anything that's actually real at this point.
I also love the videos like this where they assume that everybody in a particular region all has a phone that is capable of it. All is using their app. All are using their app.
Yeah. Everyone has their Tango phones.
That's right. Well, it takes two to tango, so you have to have at least two, right?
I always thought the Tango tablet was Viagra.
All right, so with Google I/O just under 2 weeks away, Google has launched their official I/O app to the Play Store. So if you're going and you want to keep track of your schedule, what all sessions you plan on attending, that's a good app for you. But also, if you're like me and you just plan on streaming the keynote from your tablet, it's a good app for that as well. So make sure you head over to the Play Store and check that out. Let's move on to the hot sheet.
Hot sheet!
All right, so the big device announcement this week, of course, other than the Samsung Galaxy Tab S series, which we talked about earlier, was the Motorola Moto X. And I know that came out like a long time ago, but they finally released the 64 gig version, which we've been seeing hinted for weeks in various places. So that's a thing, and it's available, right?
Person?
Ryan? Person named Ryan?
That is correct. So it leaked a few times, and now it is finally available. You can go right now and buy it. It's $100 more than the 16 gig version. However, when they released it, they also did the try then buy promotion, where you could pay a penny and have a customized Moto X shipped to you, and then you had 2 weeks to decide if you wanted to keep it. That sold out in like an hour, maybe. I mean, it went fast. People were really super into the idea of getting a customized phone to try out for 2 weeks. If you missed that, sorry, I guess you'll just have to wait for the new Motorola phone later this summer, which you should probably do anyway. But and then if you did buy one of those and you break it, good news, we realized that Motorola actually is pretty cool about these devices, and will do a one-time free replacement of a cracked screen, but only on the Moto Maker versions of the phone. If you have just a regular non-customized one, then I think it's $175 to replace the screen. But it's pretty cool. Most OEMs will just charge you some obscene amount of money to replace the screen if you ever break it. HTC kind of has a similar deal where they'll replace the screen on a One for I think the first 6 months for free. But if you are into just a phone with a lot of storage, I mean the Moto X is still a good device, so you can go and pick one up right now.
Cool. And of course, speedy updates to go along with it. Almost Nexus-like updates. In fact, I think there might have been some Moto X's that got updated before my Nexus 5 got its over the air. So there's always that bonus as well.
That's pretty speedy, Matthew.
It's very speedy. All right, so HTNC.
Wow.
Jesus, what's wrong with me today? All right,
I'm not Jesus, but I don't know.
AT&T had released a small fleet of tablets this week. The Samsung Galaxy 4 Tab 10.1, I said that wrong, but it's okay, we'll keep going, is now available for $479.99 off contract or $24 a month for 20 months. The Galaxy Note Pro 12.2 is also now available $799 upfront or $45 a month. And finally, the Asus Padphone X with the built-in phone is available for $595 or $29.80 a month.
Dear everyone, you're getting the 4.4.2 update. The end. No, actually, tons of devices are getting 4.4.2, including the Verizon Galaxy Note 2. Gets its taste of Kit Kat, the chocolatey goodness. US Cellular gets 4.4.2 for their Galaxy Note 2. Samsung and AT&T resume the rollout of Android 4.4.2 for the Galaxy S4 Active. 4.4.2 KitKat is rolling out to the AT&T Samsung Galaxy Mega, and Sprint's Samsung Galaxy Tab 3 7.0 is getting 4.4.2. So, in the words of Oprah, you get 4.4.2, and you get 4.4.2, and you get 4.4.2.
I don't think Oprah ever said that.
Oprah said it.
Okay.
Just move on.
Product reviews.
Move on. It's time for product reviews. This week's product review: Streaming Steamy Set-Top Box Showdown. Chromecast versus Amazon Fire TV. Sunday versus Roku 3 versus Chromecast versus Amazon Fire TV versus Roku 3. It's Chromecast. It's Fire TV. It's Roku 3. And by Roku, I do mean, of course, the Roku streaming stick. I've had a streaming stick for years, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
So Cameron,
since birth, even.
I have. Well, since birth of my new self.
So what do you guys want to talk about?
Let's talk about
Let's talk about Chromecast versus Amazon Fire TV versus Roku streaming stick versus Roku 3. Sunday.
So basically they're all really good. I mean that's what it all boils down to. It's basically you can't really go wrong. I mean it just depends on what you want, but
I disagree. I would
they're
not
all
get
badass.
the Roku streaming stick based on your
Well,
article.
the thing with the Roku streaming stick, okay, it is kind of choppy and laggy in the OS, but it just, I mean, if you're on the fence between, if you have like $50 to spend and you don't know whether, and you want to buy a Chromecast, I almost think that I would recommend the Roku 3 just because of its massive, I mean the Roku streaming stick because of its massive catalog. I mean, the amount of stuff on Roku is just, it's huge. I mean, compared to Chromecast, I mean, Chromecast is not shit compared to the catalog that Roku has. I mean, it absolutely dwarfs Chromecast.
That's blasphemous. You can't say that on the show.
It might be, but I mean, seriously. But what Chromecast has going for it is play music, play movies, and people made a big deal of tab casting, but I'm sorry. I have casted tabs, and that shit sucks. Tab casting is crap. It does not work for shit. So anyway, people can cast
like
tabs
the
if they
idea
want
of it.
to, but
Yeah.
people like
I can
the
honestly
idea,
say
but
that
the
I probably
execution-
wouldn't get a whole lot of use out of my Chromecast if it wasn't for Allcast. I use the hell out of some Allcast, though.
Yeah, so I mean, Allcast works with Roku and Fire TV as well. So I mean, Allcast is one of those ones that's across the board. So I mean, I guess if you, I don't know, I obviously have all of them. So But after I was finished with the review, I was like, okay, I can't leave all this shit sitting everywhere and hooked up. I've got to figure out something. So I literally, in the bedroom, I have the Roku, and that is all we've been using. Like, that's it. Chromecast in the living room. And Roku is basically what we've been using. I think it's my favorite of the bunch. If I do want to stream, play movies, though, of course, I'm going to go for a Chromecast. Fire TV also. I mean, if you're a Prime member, you can stream Prime movies from Roku or Fire TV. And I think Roku's interface is a lot better. I like Roku's software, and I don't know. But I do wish I like the fact that you could play games on Fire TV. Like I've been playing the Walking Dead game on the Fire TV, and I wish I could play it on the Roku instead because I just like the Roku better. But
I have
anyway,
a feeling
yeah,
it
I
would
mean they're
suck
all.
on the Roku. Just saying.
Yeah.
You have a
My
feeling
feeling,
what?
my feeling after reading this was basically if you are a nerdy media consumer, get the Roku, and if you are a nerdy media consumer with kids, get the Fire TV. Because the casual gaming stuff for the kids is great, I think.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. I mean, it has cool stuff like Riptide, which is fun. It's got the Walking Dead thing that I've been playing. Civ Zero, the game though, the first like Amazon Studio game for the Fire TV is just absolutely badass. But the biggest downfall of that is like, okay, if you want to install some games to play on the Fire TV, it's only got 8 gigabytes of storage. So what the hell? It's full in like no time, and that's like to me that's just it's just such bullshit.
If they open up the USB for mass storage, the first person that puts a Kickstarter out there with a little flat pad that sits under your Fire TV that can add like 80 gigs or something to storage, that's going to go through the roof.
Yeah, I mean that would be cool. I mean, I guess the point is, I kind of went into it wondering which one was going to be the best, but it didn't take long to figure out that each one has a pretty straightforward use for particular consumers. At this point, I see no reason not to own a Chromecast. So it's really, to me, it's not about which one do you buy. It's about which two do you buy. You buy a Chromecast and then either a Roku and a Fire TV if you really want like more than what a Chromecast can do. Because I mean, at $35, everyone should have a Chromecast. So at least one Chromecast. But for me, it's Chromecast and Roku. Those were that's just where it is.
So do you feel like it's more of a hassle, though, to set things up streaming to the Roku? Because don't you have to use the Roku app specifically to access all this stuff?
It depends. I mean, if like you can send stuff straight to Netflix from just like you can Chromecast, you can do it just like that to Roku. So it's no problem. But to me, I prefer to use a dedicated remote like the Roku's remote over. One of the things that I hate most about Chromecast is that I have to use one of my Android devices, and it just becomes a pain in the ass to me. So I like to just be able to grab a remote and use that instead, because like I said in the piece, it comes down to the app developer. To me, HBO Go is one of the shittiest apps that I have to use on Android, and it drives me insane. When I'm going to watch Game of Thrones, I seriously sometimes I put it off for 2 days because I hate the HBO Go app. I hate it so much, and because it never wants to work right. Half the time it doesn't end up streaming to the Chromecast. It just pisses me off. So for that, I just like the remote better because I know it's not going to mess up. It's not going to end up playing on my device when I want it to play on the TV, and I'm not going to have any of those bullshit issues.
I don't know why. It's weird. One of the things that bugs me the most about my Chromecast is when I cast a YouTube video to it, and then I just like exit out, and it just like sits at that YouTube video, like
forever
splash screen for like 20 minutes, and I don't know what it is, but for some reason I love just leaving the screen on and leaving the Chromecast wallpapers that just come up and rotate
right,
through.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
That's nice. Amazon, I mean, Fire TV does something similar, and I think that the photo selection is actually better on Fire TV for that.
Is it?
But it times out after like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes of being idle. It like hibernates and the screen just goes black. Whereas Chromecast will just span that shit all day long if you want it to.
Yeah, it's kind
But
of
I
weird that the
agree. I
Chromecast does
like
that,
that
though.
too. I enjoy the fact the rotating pictures and stuff. It's soothing.
Yeah, it's really nice. That's why I get so annoyed when my YouTube
It's like
splash screen will go the hell away.
Yeah, Netflix does the same thing. It just hangs out for a while. I mean, yeah. I really like Chromecast. I really like Roku. I really like them all. Honestly, I think they're all badass, and they're gonna keep getting better. So the
Badass.
hardest part is figuring out which one you want to have because they're all just so kick-ass.
You have multiple rooms in your house. Buy a few. They're small.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, it's like pick a room, put one in it, you know? I mean, I would say like Roku for the living room and, throw a Fire TV in the den if you have one of those. I don't know anybody who actually has a den and uses it for
I have a den.
but-
We eat raw meat in there.
You're like a woov.
I'm just like a woof. I eat raw meat with my other woof friends.
Yes. Your pack
You
of
you and your other woofs hang out in your den and eat raw meat and stream things on Fire TV.
We stream it with our streaming stick. I did actually like when you said that with your Roku or your streaming stick, you can get a lot of things on your streaming stick. I like that. I like getting a lot of things on my streaming stick.
I bet you do.
I mentioned Allcast earlier, and you mentioned it works for all of these devices. Fun fact: it actually works for Google TV, and it also works for I just have a random Wi-Fi Blu-ray player that it works with. It just works. It's weird. It's like they've figured out how to make it stream to everything.
Yeah, anything DLNA enabled, it works by default.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got a Blu-ray player that does the same.
Cool.
So that's cool.
All right, let's move on to other
forgot
news.
it supports that.
Yep.
I'm going to use the same sounder. It's time for other news. It's the news other than what we've been talking about. How do you like that segue?
That's great. It's fantastic.
So, Ryan, there's been some other news this week about somebody in our neck of the woods, an Ohio chemist. What did this chemist do or provide?
I don't know. Probably nothing important because it's Ohio.
Oh.
I'll have you know that Akron University has the top polymer research department in the world.
Nothing important ever
Well, I
came
guess-
out of Ohio. Like
I
our
guess- I
eight
guess
presidents.
they
Eight
know their-
presidents. 8 of them. 8.
By the way, I
Okay.
have no idea if that's true. I just know they have a really good polymer science.
I guess they know they're plastic. So here's the deal.
Harrison,
So,
Harding, Hayes, Grant, Garfield, McKinley,
at,
Taft.
at the at the aforementioned university, they've developed a new polymer that could be used to strengthen smartphone screens. So if you've ever dropped your phone and broken it and cried over it, then maybe this will be important to you. Right now, most of the screens on phones are covered with a layer of indium tin oxide, which is a transparent conductive substance. Now, what they have done is design this polymer that can do basically the same thing, but it's considerably more durable. So if you were to drop a phone, then this layer of nanofibers might actually keep the screen from breaking. So maybe at some point in the future, that'll happen. But right now, just don't drop your phone.
I wonder if it would do any good for them. Well, no, I guess that wouldn't apply. Have any of you guys actually used the glass screen protectors that are out there?
I don't use screen protectors at all. So,
I don't either.
I don't
No.
use I definitely won't use the film ones because I hate the way they feel under the finger, but there's glass ones that are available, and they're a little bit pricey, but I'm just kind of curious to know if anybody's used them.
I always found screen protectors to be pointless.
Yeah, I've never scratched the screen on a phone. And
I have, but never bad enough.
I mean, I feel
Not
like
to really
anything
care.
I'm going to do that will break the screen is probably not going to be mitigated by a screen protector.
Fair enough.
I like the word mitigated.
Mitigated. Hey, let's talk about some voicemails. We got voicemails.
We do have voicemails.
2 of them. Kind of 3, actually.
The number you're trying to reach. The
Five,
number you're trying to reach. The
3,
number
0,
you're
5,
trying
4.
to reach. Enough already. Somebody answer the phone.
It's time for this week's voicemails. Now, if you're new to the show, the way we do voicemails is we first read the Google transcription of the voicemail, try to think about what that voicemail may entail, but then we actually play it and answer any questions or comments that may arise from the voicemail. So that's kind of how it works. This week we had a few, so let's take a listen. Oh, I'm sorry, I did it wrong. We're going to take a read.
Take a read.
Take a read!
Listen to me read.
Let's take a read while
Or
we
listen to
do
you
not
read.
listen. All right. This voicemail came from the 419, yo. That's an area code. Hey guys, this I'll write again. Listen this week. I've got a question that I'm really interested in hearing you guys just go offering about. So, the news breaks about nearby this week and people go. And that's my question for you guys is, where is the full line between 10, 4 on that and conspiracy theory, in between? The A and say practice. You know what I did. You're being cautious only.
Hey guys, guest 2, Ryan again. Listen, this week I have got a question that I am really interested in hearing you guys just go off on a rant about. So, the news breaks about nearby this week, and people go nuts. So, my question for you guys is, where is the line between tinfoil hat and conspiracy theory, and between that and safe practice? You know, like, you're being cautiously
It's the one that cuts off.
You're being cautiously,
Yes. See, Brian called back and tried that voicemail again, and the second one actually was more successful.
Brian did call back. And he said, hey guys, it's Brian again. I have no idea what happened back there. My apologies, Anyways, Borellis. There's a so anyhow. My question was, with the whole story about nearby breaking out and all these of wacky doos coming out of the woodwork, my question for you guys is, where is the line drawn between paying for that conspiracy and people that are cautiously not paranoid necessarily, but maybe they're skeptical? Don't go on board like one. The questions are posted. A comment was, it's doable work to the week. The information maybe once a month. Would you turn on the services knowing that it wouldn't be there long-term? Is there some kind of email ground, and they can have a lot of people are saying all of those ability from servers, and yeah, 10th. Well, so, where you guys see isn't healthy amount to get this is. I'm in this. Thanks. Catch you later. Till next week. I am in this as well.
Hey guys, it's Brian again. I have no idea what happened back there. My apologies. Anyways, for our listeners, so anyhow, my question was, with this whole story about nearby breaking out and all these wackadoos coming out of the woodwork, my question for you guys is, where is the line drawn between tinfoil hat conspiracy and people that are cautiously, not paranoid necessarily, but maybe they're skeptic, but they'll go on board? Like, one of the questions I posted in comments was, if Google were to delete the information maybe once a month, would you turn on the services knowing that it wouldn't be there long term? Is there some kind of middle ground that they can have? A lot of people are saying, oh, it doesn't delete from servers, and yeah, tinfoil. So where do you guys see as a healthy amount of skepticism in this issue? Thanks. Catch you later. Till next week.
Okay. Can I go first on this one?
You
go.
certainly may, Liam.
You go, Liam.
Okay, so my point about this is any service like this is based entirely on, first of all, your trust that the feature is doing what it says it is, and your willingness to exchange information for useful functionality. So there's already location reporting. So if any location data is going to get stored, it's that. I don't know that Nearby is actually going to store anything, and I mean, I'm sure that Google will tell us when this is officially announced. But it just goes back to what you're willing to believe. Like, there were people in the comments who were saying, oh, even if you don't turn the feature on, it's probably still secretly on. Well, I mean, okay, sure, but there's no... Your microphone could secretly be sending stuff to the NSA right now. So what... it's just how much you trust the technology and the people behind it to handle your data responsibly. And it's yeah, I mean, it's trust and whether it delivers something that's convenient enough for you that you're willing to exchange that data and make a value judgment on, like, how valuable do you think the data is that your phone was nearby, like, a Macy's point of sale? Like, is that valuable to someone, and how valuable is it for you to not let anybody know that?
Sounds logical to me.
You know,
what
I
I
come at
think?
this from... Go ahead. What do you think?
I think that I really think that I'm just so damn sick of these overprotective, privacy-aware people. I'm so tired of it. Like, who gives a shit? Who cares? I don't understand why it's so important to people to be like, oh God, Google's gonna know where I am, and people can find out where I am. People are going to know where you are anyway. I don't know. I cannot wrap my brain around anyone who is just that concerned with their privacy. I don't know. I just don't get it.
Well,
I just don't get it.
For me, it's kind of not even like, I'm confused as to like where the issue of privacy is coming in here, because you know where you are, and the server recognizes that you're nearby X device. So nobody's looking at that information and saying like, oh, this phone is next to a point of sale device. Like, okay, cool, but what can you, like, can that information be used by anyone?
Oh God, let's go jump this
Absolutely.
dude and take his phone because he's over there by this. I know, like, what the hell? I know, I just don't get it.
It was
I
a really
just-
bizarre assumption by all of these people that showed up in the comments that just because this opt-in Google service existed, that for some reason, somehow, that information was going to find its way into the public domain or into an NSA server someplace. But, you know, honestly, the NSA doesn't need an opt-in Google service to know where you are if they really want to know. I mean,
What I want to know... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
I want to know, what do these people have to hide? I mean, that's.
If you have nothing to
I mean,
hide,
seriously.
you shouldn't. No, I mean, I mean, in this context, yeah, I mean, kind of, people are just acting crazy.
I don't really.
People are absolutely just acting crazy. It's like, I have nothing to hide, so I don't really know. I mean,
I don't know.
okay, so if you know there's a Moto X sitting over here, it's passively listening because it's waiting for some hot words in case I say them. It's passively listening all the time. So what is it listening to? It's listening to everything I say. Am I gonna freak the fuck out about it? No. Who cares? What have I mean, seriously. I'm I'm not. If you're not doing anything wrong, if you're not, I don't know. I don't understand. I said, I don't understand what everybody's so worried about.
Let me provide a little bit of the other side of the perspective, because I think the argument of people saying, I have nothing to hide, so why do I care if I'm sending that information up? I think that argument is a little short-sighted, and I'm going to explain why. Now, grocery stores are a great example of what eventually happens, and it's especially by advertisers and marketers of products, is that they alter consumer behavior based on observing current consumer behavior. And one example of this would be diapers in a grocery store. If you've ever noticed, diapers in a grocery store are usually at the furthermost back corner of a grocery store as opposed to the entrance, and that is so they can modify the behavior of mothers and fathers that have to get the essential diapers, and they're usually running, low on time, and they don't really have time. They are actually forced to divert their whole shopping trip to go through the store and pass by things that are of interest to them. So it's not that you're sharing data that at face value is used. It's that the marketers, the advertisers, the hawkers of product, and these big, global conglomerates can alter our behavior so that we're forced to have products and things placed in front of us, and that our behavior is actually modified. That's where I personally kind of draw the line. Now, ultimately, going back to what you can, what you give and what liberally and what you take, I say personally, read the terms of service, understand how the technology works if you're concerned about this, and if you do find something that is noteworthy, say, hey, maybe don't use this data, or they sell it to third-party marketers, or this could be a potential use for it. Share it with your friends that don't care much. I think the discussion needs to continue to happen, because I don't want to be. I mean, this is a lame example, but I don't want to be the fat slobs. We already are getting there, but in the movie Wall-E, that are just sitting there and buying and drinking whatever's put in front of them.
Well,
so there.
I think you're right. I think that the main problem that people have with this is a fundamental lack of understanding about how data actually works. So I don't subscribe to the idea that if you're doing nothing wrong, you shouldn't be worried about privacy. But I think that the real issue is that people just don't understand data, or how it's collected, or where it goes, or how it behaves, or how it's used, and that lack of understanding leads to questioning and being suspicious of something, and ultimately.
That's also because modern media, news, and everything makes it seem like hackers are everywhere and they're stealing all your shit. I mean, that's just how it is, and
I mean they
because of it.
They have an incentive.
But the hackers aren't hackers. The hackers are media people and large companies.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, but I think what the thing is, though, is like people like to think that large conglomerates care about your data.
They don't.
They could give a crap about everything that you do.
They care about modifying your behavior, though.
They care about collecting massive amounts of data. And I think people get worried about their privacy because somebody's prying in on what they're doing, but really nobody cares about what you're doing.
Exactly.
People care about what people in mass are doing.
Yep, it's not your data. It's just data to them. It's not yours.
It's everyone's data aggregated that can predict things. That's what Google cares about.
It doesn't have your name and social security number attached to it.
Google in particular, I think, is acutely aware of these kind of fringy, weird people because, I mean, if enough people start saying something, even if it's not true, some other people that are maybe slightly more rational will start to believe it. And Google's entire business model is based on trust. And if this nearby feature was a thing that was like opt out, I think that would have been the difference between like crazy people being crazy and normal people being kind of crazy. I mean, people would be upset if like an update to their phone just made them start like listening to everything, even if they were smart enough to like read the whole article and understand what was actually being done. I think a lot more people would have been upset if it was something that was just being done to them. I mean, and I mean, if we're talking about like being skeptical of things, like being a skeptic doesn't mean that you just don't believe anything. Being a skeptic means that you believe the things that you have evidence for. And when people come into the comments on the site and they start saying things like, oh, this is an NSA tool, or Google's working with the feds, or like they're going to turn this on and not tell you, then no, that's bunk. You have no evidence to make that sort of claim. Saying things like that doesn't make you a skeptic. It just makes you, kind of reactionary and crazy. So, I mean, if you want to be skeptical about what companies are doing with your data, you need to find the evidence to decide what is and isn't happening. And I mean, until you know what's actually going on, when you have sufficient evidence to come to a conclusion, you're just making claims.
I agree that people shouldn't be making claims, but I also think that the conversation still needs to happen because the average person doesn't understand what information is being collected enough. All they understand is, hey, this feature makes this easier. They don't understand how it works. Most people out there, technology, especially in the mobile space, is advancing at such a rate that the people are left in the dust. People are still back in the 90s with their analog cell phones. They don't understand how near field communications work, how low energy Bluetooth works, how iBeacons work, but I think we need to continue to have that information put out there, because the thing I'm concerned about is not that the NSA is going to look at my stuff. The thing I'm concerned about is that people are going to stop caring about clicking OK on the disclaimers without fully understanding what potentially they're giving away for free. Now, the other thing that we haven't talked about here, which I think is just as important, is the connections that are made, or what I like to call the inferred data that people can get. People don't care that you're 5 feet away from a Macy's. They may care that you're 5 feet away from your friend, and they may store that information that these two devices were close to each other, and that information may or may not be valuable to them for some reason. And there may be data that can be mined that it's inadvertently collected. Wasn't necessarily collected for the purpose of tying Bob with this nefarious character, but the data is there. It can be mined to make that connection, whether there's any validity to it or not. So that's, again, I don't think we can turn a blind eye to it. I think we need to continue to have the conversation, but I also agree, you're not skeptical or you're not anything special if you put out, oh, the NSA is doing this, and the NSA. So.
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to who you're trusting. I mean, that's why I say, like, Google is really aware of this stuff, because they know they can't get away with doing anything really shady, because then their whole business model collapses. I mean, you have to be careful who you're giving your data to. I mean, obviously, people really like free services, and you have to be aware that if you're using a free service that collects data, that's essentially how you're paying for it. You're paying for it with your data. And if you're not okay with that, then don't use the service. I mean, if you're so upset with the potential that Google could at some point make some sort of correlation about your movements and use that to advertise or to offer some sort of feature that you're not interested in, then you should use another company's product, someone that you trust more. Maybe that's Apple. Maybe you trust what Apple will do with your data. I mean, whatever makes people comfortable, but just, you don't need to automatically assume that the worst case scenario is always the correct one, and then show up in our comments and complain about it for 8 hours.
It's not necessarily a one-on-one thing, though. Even if I choose to not opt in to these services, if the overall consensus of people is that the value of this service trumps the value or the perceived value of their privacy, that changes the overall behavior of the community. And you're affected whether you choose to share your data or not. If it becomes normal that the only way that you can do a transaction is through near-field communications or Bluetooth or some other technology that has yet to been created, and that forces the overall, change in way something works, I think that's what people are frustrated with but can't articulate it. Because, again, these are hypothetical things, but we shouldn't shun people. I mean, I noticed, Ryan, no offense, but you called people wacky people and paranoid and stuff like that. I would probably lump myself in people that may be on the more conservative end of that arrangement, and I don't consider myself wacky or paranoid. So.
Well, the people who were coming into our content,
they were judge readers
because it was low thought, like reactionary. This is evil. They're going to secretly collect all this data, and I mean, it's going back to what Nearby is actually about. It's not even really about your behavior data, really. And yeah, I mean, I think it's important to keep having a discussion about data and how it's used and understand. And I think, honestly, the Google does a pretty good job about that. Like, for instance, Chrome usage reports, they're like, this is data that is usage data, but it's anonymized. You're not connected to it. Like, do you want to submit it? You say yes or no. And with this feature, it's like you say, here's what it does. Do you want to turn it on? If you turn it on, then it's like, okay, here's the audiences that you're visible to. Like, here's the people and the things that can actually see your device, and you can turn that on and off. And then even if you turn it off, it's like, hey, wait a minute, you're turning this off, but that doesn't turn location reporting off. Like, you need to go over here and do this. So I think that in a way they're making an effort to try and say, like, here are the things that we're doing. Here's a link if you want to read more about it, but here's basically what it is. Here's what you're going to get. But But yeah, I think it's important that people like pay attention to that and encourage others to pay attention to it. But I'm not nervous about it at all. But that's coming from somebody who researched it.
Yes, I get the feeling most of the people that were commenting on that story just didn't read the article. They saw
Yeah.
the crazy headline that Drudge decided to use and just came and made a comment. I mean,
Right.
more than one person somehow managed to tie this into Obama, which I think it tells you a lot about the audience.
One commenter's name was Hussein in the Membrane.
Yes, yeah.
So-
He
Oh
was a
my
real
God.
winner.
Jesus, these people.
I think those people
I don't-
are objectively wackos, not
Yeah, I'm not.
There's
No,
no
I mean,
question.
I complained about this on Google Plus, like after these people were in the comments for 8 hours saying crazy things, and like I said at the time, like these aren't just like conservative people. These are like dyed-in-the-wool conspiracy theorists. They are caricatures of conservatives. I mean, I mean, it's not even that they have any sort of, I think, specific political leanings. It's just that they really like to believe
right,
the worst about every situation.
and not critically think about the actual, about the actual post or what it says or anything else.
Yeah, yeah. It was. I mean, it was a very strange day. And then we found out later that they had downvoted all of the staff posts so aggressively
Yeah.
that it somehow overwhelmed the discuss filter and it thought we were spamming. I mean, it's just it's crazy. I mean,
And
how
that kind of behavior, like even if they had an accurate and thoughtful message, that kind of behavior is counterproductive and unhealthy to the conversation. Like if their goal was to actually like talk to people and convince them like, hey, maybe you should think about this, or like this is not a good idea, then the way that they chose to put that forth and like how they behaved in the comments was completely destroying that goal.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a completely reasonable response to say, I am somewhat concerned about this. Let's see how it looks when they actually announce it, and whether or not there are any privacy concerns.
I don't
It's
see
not-
how you guys spent so much time in the comment section on that piece. I read maybe when things started to get weird. I read maybe 10 or 15 of those comments, and I was like, you know what? If I get into this, I'm just going to be super pissed off and because I don't know. I don't take stupid people very well, so it just gets on my damn nerves. So I gave up. I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna. I got stuff to do. I'm not gonna read this.
Yeah, no, I mean,
And,
I wasn't
didn't-
like, I don't think any of us were trying to like debate with them. We were basically just trolling them, but also trying to educate a little bit, but mostly trolling. I mean, it was amusing for a while, but then I mean, it's insane how many people a headline on the Drudge Report will send to your website. It was insane.
In a way, it's funny because they, by rushing to the site to express their complete outrage, they were actually helping us, the source of the story.
Yep.
So thanks for that, guys.
Jokes on them.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We're on
Thanks
to
for
the
all the
bonus
hits.
because of you.
So we've got
another voicemail.
another
Let's
voicemail.
get to that.
Yay.
Bye, 08C. It's that time to get in. And this week, my phone call is twofold. I'm a lot. Mike, Jim, of the devices you tested to this point, what are your favorites? 2 and why? And I'd like to see it. A couple of weeks ago, you said you wanted. Try calls for your next guest host at this point in time. I would like to cast my vote. Why? Because of the podcast. I was, and then the androids saying I was kind of it and honored to. Well, on your show making sure that's all rack is the most popular features residence, well, why I'm glad to be. Jake tonight.
That's Jake tonight.
Come on, baby, Jake tonight.
Jake
if you
from
couldn't figure
State
it
Farm.
If you couldn't figure it out, AC, this is Piper the DJ. And as soon as my device loads, I will get the sound bite for y'all.
Hello, AP. It's that time again, and this week my phone call is twofold. Number one, my question. Of the devices that you've tested to this point, what are your favorite 2 and why? And number 2, a couple of weeks ago you said you wanted tryouts for your next guest host. At this point in time, I would like to cast my vote. Why? Because as a podcast host and an Android fan, I would count it an honor to show up on your show. Making sure the towel rack is the most popular fixture in residence worldwide, I'm Piper the DJ. Good night.
He didn't say what he was casting his vote for. Darn it.
I think himself.
Oh.
Are you allowed to vote for
I
yourself?
know, I'm just joking.
I think you are.
Sure.
I think you can vote.
You can vote for yourself. Yeah. Actually, I think we're going to open this up this week. If you want to be on the show, leave us a message. Don't just cast your vote for yourself. Prove to us why you would be a good host. I think Piper's kind of earning his stripes, but whether he
Practically is a co-host.
I was going to say whether he knows it or not. His emails take up about 10 minutes of the show each week, so he really is a co-laborer in our labor of love here on the Android Police Show. But yes, send us a voice message that not only casts your vote, but proves to us why you would be a good candidate for a co-host. Be eloquent, be succinct, be smart, maybe give an opinion of what you think instead of asking us what we think, because when it comes down to it, I don't know if you guys would agree, but I think we're just a bunch of regular guys. What do you guys think?
I'm not.
No, we're special.
I'm extra.
Yeah, I don't see anything regular about myself. I'm
Well,
sorry.
I'm actually pretty regular. In fact, I don't even qualify for his question because I haven't tested 2 devices. So I'm going to bow out of this one because I'm just a regular guy. Anybody else want to talk about what are their 2 favorite devices right now?
So are we talking about, like, of all time or, like, recent?
You know what? It wasn't specific, but I'm going to say of the devices that are in the news right now, what 2 devices have your fancy? Let's put it that way.
I can't narrow it down to 2 because for me, it's the Nexus 5, the Nexus 4, the Nexus 7, the Nexus 10, the Nexus 7 2013 edition, the Nexus S, the Galaxy Nexus, and the Nexus 1. It's a tie.
You could just say Nexus devices.
And the Nexus Q.
You're dumb.
That's what I was going for. Thanks.
Yeah, Nexus Q is the best device out there.
Okay, I actually liked the Nexus Q a lot.
You just liked how it looked.
It is a beautifully designed, like the industrial design on it is flawless, and I used it quite a lot for music streaming before they killed the server.
You know what people liked a lot, Liam?
Do you still have it?
Console televisions. People like them a lot too.
I do have it still. You can actually root it and install. Well, I don't know if it still works, but you can install Cheapcast on it and use it for essentially the same purposes.
Can you install a Magic 8 Ball?
No, you cannot, but only because it doesn't have any kind of display.
No display.
It has no
All the
display.
devices. Okay,
No display.
so I think we're talking. He says of the devices you have tested, so that would be everything.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, we've been Android nerds for many years, I think,
Yeah.
Okay, so if you guys want to take it that way, that's fine. I'm only interested in recent, but
I can think of
maybe
one
other people.
for me, but I'm having a hard time thinking of a second one.
Okay, so I have one. I was just talking about this in our AP chat room a week or 2 ago. If we're talking about like initial quality, like how much I liked the device when like I first had it, then I think the Nexus 4 is definitely up there because it felt super premium, especially for being such an inexpensive phone. And the size was really good, and it just was a very fun phone to use. Even though it didn't have LTE, like by the end of its life cycle, I was like, okay, well, it's reasonable to go get something else now that has LTE, because even when the Nexus 4 came out, it was kind of like a year behind to not have it. But so that's definitely one of them. And then I would also probably say the Moto X, because I mean the device itself like isn't super impressive like spec-wise, but I think the experience of using it is really cool. I mean the active display stuff is awesome. I mean, to not have that on a phone now feels kind of weird. And I mean, I don't use the Moto X as much now as I did when I first got it, just because it is starting to feel a little bit slower than other devices. Even the Galaxy S5, which has all that TouchWiz stuff on top, is a bit faster in daily operation than the Moto X is. So I mean, I'm really looking forward to like the next version of what Motorola is doing. But yeah, I mean, I think the Nexus 4 and the Moto X are probably my two favorite devices that I've had.
I'd have to say the Motorola Zoom and
You already said your piece.
the HTC Thunderbolt.
You be quiet now.
Blasphemy.
Stop trolling.
All right.
Mine would have to be. I'm sticking with the Q, and then I'm going to say probably the Nexus 4 as well, just because it was also really well designed. I miss the curved edges of the glass.
Yeah,
on the
it felt really good in your hand, and like you could like swipe off the edge of the screen. It was just
Right.
It seemed like
And
I think it felt far more premium than the Nexus 5 does.
yeah. So like I mean I like the Nexus 5 a lot, but I mean one thing that just really bugs me about that phone is that when you swipe off the edge of the screen, it's like that sharp like demarcation
Yes.
where the edge of the device stops, and then like that rim all around in there, like junk collects in there, and it drives me crazy.
The Nexus 4 was like purpose built for the hamburger menu. It was. I mean, that was it.
Yeah, it was like if they could make that exact phone again, but with a 1080p screen and LTE, I would buy it in a heartbeat.
Oh man, so
You know,
would I.
I feel
would
the
buy
same
10
way
of them
about myself.
just to show them how happy I was.
Liam, I feel the same way about myself. I am also purpose built for the hamburger menu.
Good.
That's the way to be.
That was very good. So I guess I'm not really sure. I have a special place, I guess, for the original Motorola Droid, honestly, because that's what started this whole journey for me. I don't necessarily think it was my favorite, but it was, I don't know, it's my most sentimental device. So I'm gonna say it, just because I still have mine. I just can't. I couldn't dare get rid of it. Just because if I would have never bought that phone, I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys right now. I don't know. It started a whole revolution for me. I honestly think that single phone changed my entire life. I know that sounds so corny, and I feel actually kind of disgusted with myself for saying it, but it's true. So, I mean, seriously, it's that phone was a huge deal for me because I was on Verizon and I was like, oh, I really want an Android phone. I remember the day that I went in to get it. I was like, I told the girl working there that I was really interested in Android, and she said, "What's Android?" And I was like, I'm gonna explain to this Verizon person what Android is because they don't know. And it was like, I don't know. So I did. I got the phone, and I loved it. And of course, went from there. So I'm going to say that for me. And NVIDIA Shield. I love Shield. I love the whole concept of Shield. So I think that is definitely my favorite device as of the past probably year, because everything else is just the same but better. I mean, it's like, oh, I liked the 2012 Nexus 7. Oh, I love the 2013, but it's the same thing, only better. So I just like that feeling of, oh, this is something new. This is different. This is it's something that nobody else is doing, and it's kind of exciting.
Changes the paradigm.
And I like that. What?
It changes the paradigm. I like it.
Yeah, and that's what I look for, and that's what I love, because right now it's like, oh, this phone is cool, but it's just another phone, and this tablet's cool, but it's just another tablet. So I like things that are just game changers. To me, that's what the original Droid was. It was a game changer.
Yeah.
I also have like go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I had an original Droid too, and yeah, I mean it was kind of a similar thing for me. Like I had tried to. I had an iPhone actually at the time. And I had tried to move to the HTC Hero when that came out in the US, and that was not a very good phone. And then I bought the Droid, and that was like the first one that I felt like, okay, I can sell my iPhone now. This is fine. And like, and I feel like that was kind of a buggy phone looking back at it. Like Android 2.0 looked a lot better than like 1.6 did, but I mean there were some weird things going on. But then like 2 months later, the Nexus 1 came out, and I bought that because I'm a fool like that. But I mean, yeah, I mean the original Droid will always have a place in my heart for being like that first like Android phone that I could I could say like, yes, I'm an Android user now. This is a good phone.
Yeah, and it was there was so much like Google Maps launched with the Droid, and
Oh yeah,
they
it
had
had
that
the
huge marketing
navigation thing. That was
campaign.
like one of the big
Yeah,
selling points.
yeah,
That
and
was
they had that
crazy.
huge marketing campaign with like the little robot arm and all the cool, I don't know,
Yeah,
man. I
phone
remember
the
that. That
phone
was
that's
just
going to
such a
kill
cool
you.
time for me. Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was just such a badass
Yeah, it was
time
kind of.
for phones and
I mean,
whatnot.
it was a neat design. Like, I mean, that phone was like metal and it was heavy and like angular. You could like bludgeon someone to death with that thing. I
Yeah,
mean,
you
the keyboard
totally could.
was not. The keyboard was like, whatever, not super good. But I mean, at the time, Android's on-screen keyboard was not very good
It was
either. So,
awful. It was
I
so
mean,
bad.
even having like a mediocre hardware keyboard was a good thing at the time. I mean, now I don't even think a hardware keyboard phone has come out in recent memory. But
No, not one worth looking at. But
yeah,
yeah,
but I
I
mean,
mean,
at the time, that was a killer feature. Like there were ads on TV. I remember like saying, "Oh, your iPhone doesn't have a keyboard. Guess what does?"
it Droid does. Yeah, I totally. God, man, I miss that. I do. I miss that kind of stuff, and I think that's Shield kind of takes me back to that, and I think that's why I like it so much. It's not necessarily that I really enjoy playing games on Android. I mean, I kind of do just to kill time, but I just think it's that it gives me that same sort of feeling, and that's why I like it. I like it a lot. I also have a soft spot for the original Samsung Galaxy Tab because that was my first Android tablet, which was a game changer to me because I was like, wow, so this is what that's like, and it was a whole new world to explore, and I really really liked that. So I guess that was really the device that made me fall in love with tablets and end up using. I still to this day will take a tablet over a phone for basically everything except for making calls.
All right, so you guys want to
if
hear a
Google
fun?
could
You
just
guys
sync.
want to hear a fun story about the launching of the? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just
Leo
saying if Google
apparently
could
is
sync.
experiencing some major lag.
Yeah,
I guess so.
yeah. If Google could sync,
If Google, yes, if they could sync text messages from your phone to the rest of your devices, like they do, like how Hangouts works. I don't know how much I would honestly pick up my phone ever.
Well, I feel like
It's
I would
coming.
still have a phone with me if I go
Because
out
even now, I mean,
someplace.
I only pick up the phone when I'm at home for.
Yeah, I mean, I know
suppose so.
Cameron has said before that he like you take tablets with you when you go out places, don't you?
I do sometimes. If I'm going to be gone, if I know I'm going to be gone for a while, then yeah, definitely. But
Yeah,
it
I
also
mean,
depends on what I'm going to go do too. So
yeah, I mean, I don't. I mean, I can count on one hand the number of times that I've like taken a tablet like out someplace if like if I was going to come back like the same day. So I mean, phones just fit in my pocket. I guess that's what it really comes down to. Like tablets are bulky to haul around, even smaller tablets.
I'm a gadgetaholic. I usually have 5 devices on me at any given time.
That's true. He's got a stack on his desk at any point. A laptop with a couple
Bob
of
wears
tablets.
Velcro shirts and just sticks his devices onto it and walks around.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what?
I
If somebody
need.
sends me a Velcro shirt, I will wear it next week with my devices Velcroed to my body.
Yeah, he's like, I don't like
But-
to like
but-
carry a backpack or like a satchel or something around if I don't have to though. So I mean, it's just if I
Oh,
have
no,
to
I don't-
carry on more than one thing, then it's like, well, I have to get something to haul everything around in.
So I gotta get
Yeah,
the
well,
man
I don't know.
purse.
A lot of times I'll just stick my Nexus 7 in my back pocket if I know I'm going to be walking around a lot.
Yeah.
So it fits, and yeah. Or-
And
Let's
then
wrap
just-
this
sometimes I just
20-minute
leave it-
show up.
Yes, let's do it. This hour and 20-minute show.
But wait,
Um,
Matt was going to say something funny. You said you were
Well,
going to hear a funny story. We didn't
I'll
get to hear it.
tell it after the show. It can be a bonus for the live listeners.
Oh,
All right,
snap.
so
Wrap this one up.
yeah, let's do it. All right, so a couple of giveaways going on at the site right now. 6 Karma portable hotspots with 1 gigabyte of data from Karma and Android Police. Of course, those hotspots that you can use to connect any old thing you want to a Wi-Fi network wherever you are. You share it with friends, you get more data. It's a pretty cool concept, so head on over to the site, get yourself entered to win one of those. Also, a White International Carrier Unlocked 16 gigabyte Samsung Galaxy S5 from Handy Apps and Android Police up for grabs as well. So make sure you head on over to androidpolice.com/contests.
We hope you enjoyed the show. As always, send your feedback and also your auditions for being a guest host to podcast@androidpolice.com, and call us at 530-HELLO-AP, 530-435-5627. Leave us a message. Why should you be on the show?
Okay, so here's the story. First of all, I think for a little bit of context, I should mention that this all happened the day that the Motorola Droid launched.
Oh, the day the music died?
The day. Well, that's a very interesting way to put it. But I was at a job site in Orlando. I was wrapping up, about ready to head to the airport later on that day and fly home. But I wanted to swing by the Verizon store to check out the Droid because it just launched that day. So I go to a restaurant in downtown Orlando. While I'm waiting for my food, all of a sudden we hear a bunch of sirens and police officers and ambulances and everything driving past. Turn on the news to find out that there's been a shooting in downtown Orlando. Some crazy guy broke into his former employer's office and just started shooting everybody.
This is a hilarious story,
it's
Matt.
Very funny, yes. So when we were watching the news, they started talking about which building that this all happened in. And of course, me and the gentleman I was there with happened to look to our left, and we see the sign for the building that the shooting was going on at. And basically, the entirety of downtown Orlando turned into a war zone because the shooter got away on foot. And it was like a block away from where we were. So when we left the restaurant, it was the most bizarre and surreal experience I've ever had because there were SWAT officers at every intersection with assault rifles that were looking in every single car and stopping every vehicle and just checking absolutely everything out. We pull around to the main drag to head back over to the site we were at, and a SWAT van pulls in front of us and just like stops at an intersection. The back pops open. Two guys with rifles jump out and start running down the street. And it was just, all in all, the most bizarre experience I've ever had. And then immediately after that, I went and checked out the Droid at the store because I was like, I want to check this thing out. So I will always remember the day.
Wow.
Yeah, I will always remember the day that the Droid launched because of that. So, also, by the way, that was the day after that guy went and shot up Fort Hood the first time. So it was like two shootings that happened like back-to-back days, and they were both on national news. It was crazy. And I was like,
it was probably those Droid ads on TV that were all super violent that caused those things to happen.
It's probably exactly what it was.
Man, does anybody remember the Droid X ads? Especially before it came out, like with the eyeball. Oh my god, man, those are some of my favorite ads of all time.
Yeah, do you remember like when the Droid came out? It had like one of the all-time best Android bugs where the camera wouldn't focus at first, like for the first week. Like if you tried to take a picture, it would always like fail to focus, except in like super, super bright light. And then all of a sudden one day it just magically fixed itself, and all the tech websites reported like, oh, Google must have pushed out a fix or something, like an OTA update, because this was like kind of early on and people didn't really understand how Android updates work. And then it came out that it was actually a date-dependent bug in Android 2.0 that just fixed itself after 6 days. Like whenever like the date added up differently, it would just like cause the camera to not be able to focus. But then like 20 days after that, the bug would come back because then like the date was just whatever sum it needed to be to like screw everything up again. And so like they rushed out an update to fix the camera, and it came out like a day after like the cutoff. And I remember like I had the phone and I was like, okay, it's supposed to be dead again today, and I checked. I was like, yeah, hey, it can't focus. How about that?
That I don't remember that.
No,
I didn't get mine the day it launched, though. It was like maybe
I remember there was a bug.
a month later.
Yeah, you might have missed the.
What's that?
I don't know, but that was freaky as shit. Don't do it again.
Is there a witch in the podcast?
Well, we better just burn everyone just to make sure.
I remember there was a bug back in the day in Android where it would send a text message to the wrong person.
Oh yeah, and that was like, it had been around for like a long time, hadn't it? Before Google finally got around to fixing it.
It was very terrifying, actually.
I remember when that was like in the news, and I don't remember it ever happening to me. But I guess maybe it was, and I just didn't notice.
I'm gonna go dig my old Droid out and see if I can charge it up and check it out.
Yeah, I mean, I always sell my old phones when I'm through with them, and it does make me kind of sad in hindsight because I would totally like to just fire up like a Nexus One and just use it for an hour or two.
Yeah, like I usually get rid of. I sometimes I sell them, sometimes I give them away. Lately, though, I've kept most of my phones just because they're newer, and I might need them for something. I don't know why. Like, why the hell do I still have an Nexus 4? I should probably. I mean, but most of the time, because I'm like, oh, I can only get like $100 out of it, and then I'm like, but what damn good is it doing in this drawer?
Yeah,
over
I
here?
mean, I kept mine for a long time. I just sold it like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Nexus
I
4.
always
Yeah.
take videos of myself smashing my old devices with hammers in hopes
And then
that
you
someone
send
will
it.
give me
Yeah, you send it to people to see if
Send
they'll
it to-
give you free stuff. Yeah.
By the way, I love the fact that
So-
Mullins completely corroborated my story in the chat room. So there's an actual article about the shooting he posted.
Nice.
Yay, Matt's not a liar.
And you can
All
see
right,
when you look
guys.
at that article that the shooting happened November 6, 2009, which was the same day that the Droid launched on Verizon in the U.S.
Okay, well, somebody's getting brownie points toward being a co-host.
That's right.
Ooh,
Oh, but I should point
yeah.
out though, you get special consideration if your application call is in song form.
Oh,
Ah,
yeah.
That's a good idea.
or if you have a mullet.
No.
If you have a mullet.
Yeah, you get special consideration to never ever be on the show until you get a damn haircut.
I think Mullen
Anyway.
should sport the mullet.
I'm
Because
I'm out.
It's so close to his name.
Yeah, I gotta get going too.
Peace out, guys.
All right.
Peace.
So, you know what, Matt?
What?
I'm wondering how long it would take to intentionally butt dial someone. We've all accidentally butt dialed, but how long would it take to intentionally butt dial someone?
See, I've never. I mean, it depends on how you define butt dialing. Because if it means you actually have to dial someone with your butt, I've never done that. Because I've never had a phone that I kept in my back pocket. And almost every phone I've ever owned, with the exception of the BlackBerry that I had, was a flip phone or a touchscreen, which butt dialing is very difficult in either one of those.
I think someone should make a video and see how long it takes them to intentionally butt dial someone.
Mullins doesn't have a mullet.
No mullet for Mullins. I know. I knew he wouldn't. He's not cool like that. You didn't think that's what I was going to say, did you? No, I know. Just because your name sounds like something, like my name sounds like boob, but I don't have boobs.
My name sounds like myth,
Well, I do
but
have boobs.
I'm real.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
My last name definitely sounds a lot like myth, but
My name sounds like bomb, but I
you're not
am the bomb.
Someone put us up the bomb. Oh, someone
You
set
dropped
us
the
up
bomb on me.
Said it wrong. Damn it.
I'm still broadcasting and
I know.
everybody's gone. Liam's like, I'm not gonna be there for this stupidness.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, does nobody else put it in their anus? Ooh.
Man butt dials 911 during alleged drug deal.
Cool.
Droid Hunger Games. Hey guys, the Spurs are winning 22-13 with a minute and a half left in the first quarter.
Go Spurs.
Go Spurs.
Kaspersky.
Kaspersky.
Casper the Friendly Ghost. Ghost Protocol.
Are we gonna end the broadcast at any point in time, or are we just
Protocol
gonna sit here
Droid. Android.
randomly saying things?
Police. Podcast. Thursday. 8 p.m. 9 p.m. Rocking around the clock. Happy days. Mr. Cunningham. Fonzie. Jumping the Shark.
One of the things that's awkward about the post show is the fact that I have no control when I actually leave the show.
That is very awkward.
It's very awkward. So I just kind of sit here sometimes, and
I kind of sit here sometimes too.
I just listen to the idiotic things that you're saying. Also,
Yeah.
I listen to the not idiotic things you're saying, but one of those things happens more than the other.
The Spurs are going to win the World Cup.
Yes.
Bye, Brian.
No, the Spurs are going to win the Triple Crown.
Speaking of Triple Crown, I love bowling.